So, welcome everyone. Good evening, good morning. So, before we begin the readings today from Conversations with Sri Aurobindo, let's take a moment of silence to invoke Mother's and Sri Aurobindo's presence. Then we can start. So, just opening there, we should have done this earlier, but sorry. Pavitra. Yeah. So, I think last time we stopped here. Um, And crux of the matter, again and again, we see here Sri Aurobindo sharing with Pavitra how important it is in this case, in his case, is to silence the mind. And we see that it is not just the case with Pavitra, but all of us need some or the other quietening and silencing of the mind so that the mind can be receptive to the higher influence. And not only quietening down, not only silencing, but also we see a kind of an opening above, opening from the influence above. So again and again we are seeing this in these conversations, and also stepping back from the movement of Prakriti, that also we see. And towards the beginning of this reading, we had read that how when one steps back and take more and more the stance of Purusha, it reveals itself, the Purusha reveals itself as the master of sanction. So I so far have given sanction to follow the dictates of the old patterns that may have served at some point of time, but the moment I become conscious that now they are not serving me anymore, I can withdraw that sanction. I don't follow those dictates of those thoughts or feelings or whatever comes and tries to overwhelm me. And then we realize that the responsibility is on us, the power is with us. So just felt like sharing the crux. There must be many more things which I'm hoping we must have picked up for ourselves. So, and I think last time this that we read was also very, very beautiful and revelatory, that not only one new birth, but in this yoga one must pass through many new births. And as with every birth, we know that it required lots of enduring of pain. We, all of us who have been mothers or have at least witnessed the process in some or other degree, we know that how much endurance of pain that requires when a new birth has to be given. So, like that, we have to endure the outer older selves have to be shed, and the new births have to be given birth to, new uh, life has to be given birth to. So again and again, shedding the older selves which are now not necessary and giving birth to a new self. So today we can take something more, which is sure will be helpful for our practice. So we can take this Wednesday, March 10, 1926. Feels like, yeah, relatable. So if anyone wants to read, you can read the first question and then the answer.
Yes. In meditation, the entire mind is quiet. The faculty of forming images disappears, and also that of reasoning, of putting out ideas. And I remain immobile, incapable of any inner movement. There is no change in the consciousness, only in the instruments of this consciousness. What should I do in meditation? Should this new state be brought into the ordinary life? In the first analysis, the mind is divided into two parts. One, whose movements are aroused by nature, the other, which shares the nature of the Purusha and remains immobile. It is now necessary to extend the power of this immobile part to remain the witness of the changes of the other. Thought will seem to occur in front of it, and it will become aware that it is universal nature which raises the play of thoughts. One must go towards the universalization. Thoughts will come from outside, and you will see them taking shape in you. You will also experience that you have power over them. You will be able to make a choice, refuse a movement, etc. This is the beginning of mastery. The part of the immobile mind will also have to be seen as the reflection of a vaster, more universal Purusha above you. From both sides, you must free yourself from the self. You must relax for the you must relax the pressure you have put on the mind to succeed in mastering thought and being free from it. Insist on the witness attitude. When a thought comes, examine it, see from where it comes, follow it. The two parts which you are thus separating will have to be later united again. I'll just read a few lines from the previous paragraph. Okay. Um, thoughts will come from thoughts will come from outside, and you will see them taking shape in you. You will also experience that you have power over them. You will be able to make a choice, refuse a movement, etc. This is the beginning of mastery. The part of the immobile mind will also have to be seen as the reflection of a vaster, more universal Purusha above you. From both sides, you must be free. Your, uh, from both sides, you must free yourself from the self. You must relax the pressure you have put on the mind to succeed in mastering thought and being free from it. Insist on the witness attitude. When a thought comes, examine it, see from where it comes, follow it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so very, very important and crucial sharing, very important for our practice, those of us who want to make it a part of our daily life or are trying to make it a part. So, if there are any thoughts, please unmute and share, any questions or reflections. So, if some of us may remember, in Upanishads there is this story of like they use the imagery of two birds. एक डाल पे दो पंछी, एक फल खाए और दूसरा उसको देखे, something like that. I may be missing the exact thing. So there, it is this separation, Purusha and Prakriti, the part which does the activity and enjoys the activity, takes delight in the activity or becomes disappointed in the activity, and the other which is just watching that activity. So there, Sri Aurobindo shares that the mind is divided into here two parts. One whose movements are roused by nature, one which is like what we call as the surface mind. At times, all the movement is there, and the other which shares the nature of the Purusha. And whenever we are using the word Purusha, it always relates to this consciousness which makes me conscious of a thought. That if somebody asks me, what are you thinking right now, so there is a consciousness which looks at that thought and tells me, okay, this is what I am thinking. Or how are you feeling now? So again, there is a consciousness which looks within and sees that, oh, the mood is a little kind of disappointed, so it says, okay, disappointed. So there is this consciousness which always is in the backdrop. It is always taken a back seat, because that is how the pact was. That's what we see in book 1, canto 4, the secret knowledge, that the pact was that Prakriti will take the dominant hand, its movements will be the center stage, and the backstage will be taken by the Purusha. And slowly, through the movements of Prakriti, the Purusha will gain stature. It will come forward. We will become aware of this consciousness slowly in our life, although this consciousness is all the time pervading, because without that I can't make sense of anything. If I listen something through my sensory input, how am I making sense of that sensory input? It's only because of this consciousness present in me. But I don't notice that consciousness. I notice what is said, who said what. I don't see that what in me is observing, what in me was able to get to the fact. It appears very boring, we don't spend much time on it. But slowly, as we grow and evolve through our life times and life experiences, this part of background consciousness comes to forefront. So, the one which is where the movements are aroused by nature, and the other which shares the nature of the Purusha, which is always watching and remains immobile. Even if in the tragic most circumstance in my life, there is still a part which is unmoved, which is the witness of the whole tragedy that I went through. So that part, and this is a very kind of mostly intangible, because this very silent and inactive it appears, that it's not very aggressive. So uske upar dhyan nahi jata hai. So it is now necessary, he says, to extend the power of this immobile part to remain the witness of the changes of the other. So now, as if one has to consciously bring it forward, that is also there, that is always active, and not only active, but one is, most of the times one becomes conscious of its presence. So thought will seem to occur in front of it, like there is, we go for a movie, there is a screen, and then there are images on projected on the screen. So one is always looking at the images. Mostly we are not very rarely we become aware of, oh, there is a blank screen on which we don't give it attention, we take it for granted that it is there, right? But now we become conscious and more conscious of it. So thought will seem to occur in front of it, like on a screen you are having projected images, which is the movie, which is the play, and it will become aware that it is the universal nature which raises the play of thought. So those images or thoughts or feelings or sense perceptions that are coming on that screen, nothing personal in that. It is happening to everyone. Everyone, each and every human being has those projections. The projections may be different in color, shades may be different, the stories may be in different in form, but there is nothing personal in that projection. So that is where universal nature comes. That it is just like collective universal nature. What is so personal about it? No? अब usually we give so much importance to मैं और मेरी कहानी. So यहाँ पे we see that, oh, we are all stories. These projections are always full of stories. So nothing really personal about it, nothing special about it. Although it is ordinary yet very extraordinary, and yet nothing special. So just images and projections. So the thoughts will seem to occur in front of it, and it will become aware that it is this universal nature which raises the play of thoughts. One must go towards this universalization. So to me it seems that, whenever we become aware of this background consciousness and the play of images, whatever is coming to my mind about a person, about a situation, about my own life and feelings, all these are just images. All these are just images. My image is not better yet than your image. They are just images. And then one doesn't give them that much of importance, that all the time one is immersed in that. They're just, in Buddhism they say they are bubble like. The moment you touch it, it's like empty from within. And if you look at the bubble closely, from outside it appears very colorful, shiny, colorful. The moment you touch it, it's empty from within. So like that is the nature of our thoughts and feelings and sense perceptions. No big deal. So when we see this in this way and understand and realize, then drama can be taken away from our life, because we are just too dramatic people. We just enjoy these dramas for a very, very long time. And most of the energies are drained in those dramas, mostly emotional melodramas. And then uh, the energy is not left for some good, meaningful mission. So when there comes a time in our life that we have done enough of those dramas, and now they actually appear to us dramas and not really very rigid and important stories, then we can just let it be, let it go, not give too so no need to just being lost all the time in those sense perceptions and my feelings, and मेरे को ऐसा लगा और उसने मेरे को ऐसा क्यों बोला, and my life and this is what happened, even if the most beautiful things must have happened in our life, not only about bad things, but even if most beautiful, they are nothing but a speck of dust. They are nothing in front of this magnanimity of universe. So even this too much self importance that we give ourselves, there is no need. So it can, I feel, take away lots of drama from our life, which is very unburdening if we have a taste now for that unburdened living. So anything so far, anyone? So I'm just going to then continue. If not anything, please unmute if anything. Yeah. So thoughts will come from outside and you will see them. Now, here, on this aspect of actually universalization, this is very liberating, because when we see that all these movements of jealousy and ambition and wanting praise and running away from being rejected and wanting approval and smiles from people who I think that I care about, all these things are very, they are collective, there is nothing personal about that. So when I see them in me, I can ignore, I can just let it go. Don't not give it too much importance. And when I see it in others, because others will also show jealousy at times, others will also show anger, frustration, ambition, greed, lust, desire. All these are just part of collective universal nature. So what's the big deal? So when we realize to whatever degree this in our own self, then also I feel it gives us a lot of empathy towards other people and lots of forgiveness for self and others, because then it's just common to all of us. We are all trying to transcend it in our own ways, and uh, there is not really any sinner then in this life, that I am the right person and others are sinners. I am as much of a sinner as the other person and as much right as the other person. It doesn't make any kind of rigid big deal. So we can forgive others also much easily as we begin to forgive our own selves. on the way. That just part of universal nature. At times we do get swayed, and then again we can spring up and have aspiration to do better and better, and one goes on. So this aspect of universalization, I think, also brings a kind of an interconnectedness with other people, that we are all one, and all the burais and achais that are there in me are present always outside and within me both. So yeah. So when we become more and more conscious and live a kind of a slow life within, and not much of agitation, excitement, too much of disappointment, and all these things, there is not a chaos all the time. There may be background noise which may remain for a long time, but we are not giving it power. We are not fueling it. So then we see that at times we have spaces of silences in between, and at times thoughts come crowding. They kind of come. In Savitri, there is this description of thoughts coming to Savitri, where she's finding her soul. Like thoughts come to her, hmm, like a ship coming from the shore side. So, like that, thoughts will come from outside. In Savitri, we have the description, and then she does not give it attention. And then, slowly, slowly, as she is not giving those thoughts attention, she sees that their frequency slows down. Like first 10 were coming, and now I was entertaining all 10 of them. But now, as I don't entertain them, they become like 5, and then 2, and then 1. And even the last one then goes away because it is not being attended to. So, like that, we have a description in Savitri's yoga. So, thoughts will come from outside, and you will see them taking shape in you. You will also experience that you have power over them. So, which one to fuel, which one to entangle in, which one to immerse in, which one not to entangle, get myself entangled in, and not to give any importance to, and let it be. It is there, it is hanging around like a spider in my room, but it can hang around. I'm not giving it attention. I don't want to follow its dictates. I've done that enough. So you will experience that you have a power over them. Here is the power, because if we don't give them importance, like we were talking about fear and anxiety and panic in our other sessions, then we don't make them bigger. You will be able to make a choice. You will be able to make a choice and refuse a movement. So if a thought of desire comes, if a thought of wanting to make myself right in front of other people where I have a chance comes, I see that coming, and I step back. I don't follow its dictates. So that is self mastery. That is the beauty here. This is the beginning of self mastery. So this is, I feel that this is the crux of, at least, if not all, the integral beginning of integral yoga. That if not self mastery, then what is the point of being human? So this immobile mind, which is the witnessing consciousness in me, this is, he says, part of more universal Purusha above you. Now, the consciousness which in me is there, which is looking at the thought and seeing what is the content of the thought, the same consciousness is present in all of us. Just like there is space, usually consciousness is also likened to this vast space. So, what is the difference between space in Germany and space in India? It's the same vast space without any disconnection in between. We are making borders on land, that okay, this is where India ends and this is where Germany would start. But actually, there is no border in space. So, like that, there is this vast, all pervading divine consciousness which is making us being conscious of ourselves, of thoughts, of feelings, of things, and it is not dependent on those things for its own existence. It is just there. And there is no difference between that consciousness in me, if I can use the word in me, or the consciousness in all of us, or a consciousness in a dog, or a consciousness in a plant, or a consciousness in a stone which is appearing to be not conscious, but it is there, kind of a sleeping state of consciousness. So it is this vast, all pervading consciousness, just like space, never ending. So this is where he says that it's like a reflection of more universal Purusha above you. And then he shares that from both sides you must free yourself from this self. So I can begin to think that, oh, I am this little consciousness witnessing, you know, what are the activities of nature. So from there also I have to free myself of this little me. And from the Prakriti side, from the other side where there are movements, from there also I have to free myself, because that was what was universalization, है ना, कि मेरे में कोई खास बात नहीं है, jealousy तो सब में होती है, greed तो सब में होती है, so that there also there is no self, and here also in the witnessing part there is no self, with that little me which I call as the solid entity me, where is that little self? Hmm? So from both sides I have to free myself from the self. And then he shares something which again I can relate with Buddhism, what we hear and read, teachings of Buddhism. You must relax the pressure you have put on the mind to succeed in mastering thought and being free from it. Insist on the witness attitude. When a thought comes, examine it, see from where it comes, follow it. The two parts which you are thus separating will have to be later united once again. So, here, for those of us who practice a little bit of meditation of any sort, or have heard about shamatha practice, where we try to bring the mind to just focus on breath, or maybe some pebble, or something, there what we are trying to do is we are trying to make the concentration very stable, and in that concentration we are not allowing all rest of the thoughts to intervene. We are just rejecting. Now there we require a kind of a narrowness. वहां पे आप narrow हो रहे हो कि what am I going to do? I'm just going to look at the breath, and I'm not going to look at all other thoughts. So in the beginning there is a narrowness in that practice of shamatha, which is important because that gives us a stability, that if I want to concentrate on anything, I have the power to concentrate on something without being disturbed by anything else, right? So first there is this narrowness, looking at the breath, looking at the pebble, or looking at divine form again and again, looking at it and re-envisioning in our mind. Slowly that practice changes to vipassana, where you are now relaxed, and you are looking at the thoughts coming from, where you are questioning where is the thought coming from. Now you are looking at the thought. So Jetsunma Tenzing Palmo also, in many of her discourses, she shares this, that if we continue to do shamatha, focus on the breath, or pebble, or a divine name, then it can give us a very narrowness. It can make us very rigid. So it's very open to first have shamatha, stabilize shamatha, do a little bit of shamatha, and then relax, that in that open, spacious awareness. Just relax. And when we relax in that open, spacious awareness, we are aware of everything. We are aware of the noises happening, we are aware of the thoughts, feelings, sense perceptions, thoughts coming to me, my body, tingling sensations in my body, some noises of children around. So it's like a vast, relaxed, open spacious awareness, which is not just aware of the breath but also very relaxed, no rigidity there. So there, what we were reading here, that you must relax the pressure you have put on the mind to succeed in mastering thought. So when I'm mastering thought, and when I'm getting myself free of it, what am I doing? I am imagining, say, Dr. Sumitra Basu says, imagine your head like a vast, ऊपर एक कमरा है, like a room, and the room is empty. So if thought comes, you reject it, keep rejecting, keep rejecting, keep rejecting. So that is kind of a narrowness I have used. I have put a pressure on my mind. He says now you have to relax slowly. Once that stabilizes, you must relax the pressure you have put on the mind to succeed in mastering thought and being free from it. Insist on the witness attitude. Now my attention is on this awareness which is aware of the breath or of the pebble or of the noises that are there. Now I'm just taking relaxed stance as that spacious awareness, that consciousness which is there, irrespective of anything being central focus. There is no focus here. The awareness is just self aware, aware of its own self. When a thought comes, examine it, he says, see from where it comes, follow it. This we can't do if we do not have the earlier stability which comes from the narrow focus, because we get very easily distracted and we can't follow the thought. So, if we want to now look at the thought, where it is coming from, follow it, its origin, then we will have to be very quiet within and very stabilized already. So that's why he says later this part, like first comes Shamata, then comes Vipassana. So when a thought comes, examine it, see from where it comes and follow it. And then he says the two parts which you are thus separating will have to be later united once again. Now, what are we separating? We are separating Prakriti, the movements. What am I aware of? The content of consciousness. And I am separating consciousness. So, who am I? I am the one looking at the things that I can be aware of. So, I am separating. Actually, there is no difference, and that is the basis of non duality or Advaita, that there is just oneness. Right now, I am seeing the things or content of consciousness, the thoughts, feelings, sense perceptions, the objects that I see as different from consciousness. Slowly, as we grow in the practice, it just becomes one thing. We can't even call it one. We call it not two. That is what we call advait, that which is not two. Because the moment I say one, by the effect of saying one, I have the other. So they want to say that there is no other. And there we also come philosophically, at least here, because it's not a practical experience for us. There we also come to that there is only one divine and nothing else. And actually, there is just consciousness and nothing else. But the way it happens, it gives an appearance that there are things, there are people, there is drain, there is palace, there is money, there is animals. Or how do we know that they exist? Through our senses. So when we touch through our senses, we think no, it can't be that it is not there, because I can touch it, I can feel it, so it is there. So slowly as we grow in our realizations and experiences, we can see that actually all is a play of consciousness. So it is not that matter is giving rise to consciousness. It is that consciousness is concentrating, like water is concentrating and giving rise to ice cubes. And where is water coming from? Again, we can go back and steam. So steam is becoming water, and water is becoming ice cubes. So like that, consciousness is compressing itself, it is finiting itself, making itself finite, and making forms like persons, people, animals, things, objects. So like that, I feel that this paragraph that we read, it's actually the crux of, we can just stay with this and this would be enough for a lifetime, and slowly everything else will actually come from it. So Towards the end, he says, the two parts which you are thus separating will have to be later united once again, which happens as a gradual kind of a flow of that process of inner work that is happening. Yeah, so any questions here or anything anyone wants to add on?
Yeah, just an observation. Sometimes we want to apologize, or we want to kind of set things straight with friends or with someone, with a situation, and the ego says that how could you come down, how could you step down, and how can you do that, and it kind of keeps on disturbing the mind. Yet some once in a while we take that step and we go that extra mile and say, no, what, I apologize, and let's just um, be peaceful. So until then, this ego keeps on poking, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And once it's done, then there is this kind of peace, I have totally let go of it, and now I'm so happy. But it's very surprising that there are two very distinct characters, and they come at different times, one before and one right after the thing. Um, yeah, just wanted to share that.
Yeah, thank you. Anything else anyone wants to add on here?
I just want to say that what you explained through Dr. Basu's thing, it was really quite visual, and thank you for that explanation, yeah, elaboration.
Yeah. So maybe I want to share here. Uh, if you give me a moment, and I take a couple of minutes. In the meantime, if there is anything, please go ahead. I think mm, I may not be able to find it. Let's see. It was a very beautiful description of what we were just reading, the book of Yoga Savitri. What was it? Not getting. If anyone remembers that, you can give me a few catchwords, then I can maybe search for it. I'm looking for shore, but it is not coming with shore. Maybe coast, I don't know. Coast. Yeah, got it. Got it. It is coast. So here, again, this is the book of Yoga of Savitri, and We should read these lines. I think it would be reverberating for each one of us. Yeah. So let us read from here. For above the birth of body and of thought. Would anyone want to read? We can read a kind of a big bunch. So if one person can read it, it would be nice. If not anyone, then I can go ahead. But if someone wants to volunteer, then please go ahead.
Yeah, I'll start.
हाँ, एक मिनट. Yeah, this. Yeah.
For above the birth of body and of thought, our spirit's truth lives in the naked self, and from that height, unbound, surveys the world. Out of the mind she rose to escape its law, that it might sleep in some deep shadow of self, or fall silent in the silence of the unseen. High she attained and stood from nature free, and saw creation's life from far above. Thence upon all she laid her sovereign will, to dedicate it to God's timeless calm. Then all grew tranquil in her being's space. Only sometimes small thoughts arose and fell, like quiet waves upon a silent sea, or ripples passing over a lonely pool, when a stray stone disturbs its dreaming rest. Yet the mind's factory had ceased to work. There was no sound of the dynamo's throb. There came no call from the still fields of life. Then even those stirrings rose in her no more. Her mind now seemed like a vast empty room, or like a peaceful landscape without sound. This men call quietude and prize as peace. But to her deeper sight all yet was there, effervescing like a chaos under a lid. Feelings and thoughts cried out for word and act, but found no response in the silenced grain. All was suppressed, but nothing yet expunged. At every moment might explosion come. Then this too paused, the body seemed a stone. All now was a wide, mighty vacancy, but still excluded from eternity's hush. For still was far the repose of the Absolute, and the ocean silence of infinity. Even now some thoughts could cross her solitude. These surge not from the depth or from within, cast up from formlessness to seek a form, spoke not the body's need, nor voiced life's call. These seemed not born nor made in human time, children of cosmic nature from a far world, ideas, shapes in complete armor of words, posted like travelers in an alien space. Out of some far expanse they seemed to come, as if carried on vast wings like large white sails, and with easy access reached the inner ear as though they used a natural, privileged right to the high royal entries of the soul. As yet their path lay deep concealed in light. Then looking to know whence the intruders came, she saw a spiritual immensity pervading and encompassing the world space as ether are transparent, tangible air, and through its sailing tranquilly a thought as smoothly glides a ship nearing its port, ignorant of embargo and blockade, confident of entrance and the visa's seal. It came to the silent city of the brain, toward its accustomed and expectant quay, but met a barring will, a blow of force, and sank, vanishing in the immensity. After a long vacant pause, another appeared, and others, one by one, suddenly emerged, minds unexpected visitors from the unseen, like far-off sails upon a lonely sea. But soon that commerce failed, none reached mind's coast. Then all grew still, nothing moved any more. Immobile, self-wrapped, timeless, solitary, a silent spirit pervaded silent space.
Yeah, thank you. We see the, I don't know, I don't have the words, how beautifully, really, one each step he makes as if kind of a visual in front of us. So again, we have to see that these are all phases in our sadhana or one's yoga, inner yoga, and this is not where it ends. We have to know that. So the book does not end at nirvana and all negating absolute. So this is what we just read. It is one of the important stages, maybe, but we can't stop there in this yoga, and that is why it goes on. In after nirvana and all negating absolute, we have the next one, which is cosmic spirit and cosmic consciousness. So we don't end at that all negating silence, but which surely appears as, one of the important, I feel, phases in one's yoga. Yeah. So we can stop here today. If any comments are there, any sharing here.
Yeah, one thing that we hear often, and yet it was so visual here among many other things, is we get satisfied really easily, right? Like when he was, say, explaining something, like giving a visual of something that sounded like, oh my God, wow. And then he was like, oh, this is what humans call quietude. Okay, next, okay, next, okay, next, right? Like I get satisfied with so less. Like I get satisfied, you know how we say that we get satisfied with our comforts, about with our settled life, and there are, I don't know what all is waiting for us, but if we don't even have a want for more, why and how should or will it be given to me? So, and you're saying like after this, this cosmic thing, so there would of course be more. And yet the wonder of it, the immensity, the infinitude of me, just even knowing, it just surprises the hell out of us. You know, like wow. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, true. And as Sri Aurobindo says, that nirvana is the first step of integral yoga, not the last. So making the mind quiet, silent, receptive, ready, open to the above, influence above, that is the basic, one can say, necessity, because we are kind of freeing our house of garbage so that it becomes but there is more, the work now starts when the ground is cleared, then the work can begin. For a long time our ground is not cleared, because we feel that it's not garbage, it is my important, precious kind of treasure that I have to keep. So yes, yeah, we don't know what all awaits. वही है what you were sharing, that we get, so अगर एक भैंस है, भैंस को अगर कीचड़ विचड़ में लोटना अच्छा लगता है, which is actually, the animal wise we see that that's what it wants. The भैंस loves लोट पोटिंग in कीचड़. And there is one of Kabir couplets and songs where it says, it uses the comment of this metaphor of this bhans, that it just wants nothing else but to loto in kichar. So as long as that kichar satisfies me, what you were sharing, as long as that kichar is just enough for me, that coolness coming from kichar and touching my body is enough for me, why would I want more? But and that is why pain and suffering become so important, because only then we begin to truly want, because now that coolness is not there and it's hurting, that heatness or whatever is there, that is hurting. So yes, very interesting. Krishnamurti also talks about preserving this discontent that we have from our lives and in general the world around us, because it is by preserving that discontent and actually one can say looking at it, that we make the necessary changes in us or other people or the world around. So we must preserve that discontent, we must not fool ourselves that no, there is no discontent in me, because the moment I admit that discontent, that is where the journey can start. That okay, not really enough whatever is happening. So, any last comments? I think we should stop here. Where is the passage? So, this was Wednesday, March 10, 1926. And next time we can maybe take further, but I think for today this should be enough for reflection and contemplation. So, if there are any last thoughts or comments, please share. जैस्मिन, आप लेट हो गए, हमारी शादी खत्म हो गई, खाना वाना भी हो गया, अब आयो.
I thought 10 o'clock. I had that saved the schedule
Yeah, things are
and it
changing
said
now.
10
Time.
o'clock.
Time.
Yeah, I checked with Taru and then I realized,
Yeah.
I don't know, really felt like coming today. Wanted to join. I'm like at Wednesday ko session, but it's okay. I think I'll be there next time. पर आपकी वेबसाइट पे भी 9:30 है.
We are changing it now. How time you
Yeah, no,
times
that's
have
okay.
changed. Yes.
Yeah. No, that's okay. Next time I'll check. But it's nice to see you and say hi.
Good to see you also.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
हाँ बोलो
Bhumika, I have
करो.
a question.
Yeah.
ये जैसे अब, although I think I would know because mother says action first, but you know how it speaks about that how things are stopping, right? Like how first this stopped, and then from there a thought is attacking, from there that thing is there. So one thing is me looking at my thought and maybe rejecting it. And then, but I see that in my life around me only, there are so many things that have to be rejected. Say a comment from a child that irks me, a reaction from that person which annoys me or hurts me. So right now, if I'm not even able to stop that from affecting me, even say it used to affect me 100, now say it affects me 2, so that's great progress. And yet it it hits, right? It's like it I read something in me still registers that yes, it happened, that look was given, although maybe it doesn't sit. So so these things happen. I don't know what I'm trying to ask, but it's just too much has to be done, and yet even materially on our everyday, still those things when they are hitting, it's feeling like a very, I don't know, I don't know, hopeless, or like it's pretty disappointing. Like although I know it's not intended to go that way, and yet it feels right. Like it's like how far one has to go. One keeps
Yeah.
because superficial comments.
Hmm.
Yeah,
True. First
yeah.
thing that yes, you are right. That it all happens simultaneously. So एक साथ parallelly काफी कुछ हो रहा है. Secondly, when we see all these comments or whatever, things still kind of swaying us from within. वही हम पढ़ रहे थे अभी that we have to consider that now a part of universal nature, that it is nothing personal about me. ना कुछ है जो हिलता है और वो कुछ जो हिलता है वो सब में बैठा है, तो उसको इतना इम्पोर्टेंस क्यों देना है? सो आई थिंक वी पैरेलली ऑल्सो हैव टू change our taste. We have to get a good taste, the taste of say thinking about the mother, the taste of say just reading books which are always uplifting, the taste of having good thoughts, है ना? सो स्लोली आई थिंक वी हैव टू, अभी जहाँ पे हम अपने आप को इमर्स करते हैं मोस्टली, दैट इज अ वेरी सैड प्लेस, वेयर ऑल वी गो listening to all those triggers that come from outside. It is a very sad place. We have bad taste. तो अपने आप को अच्छा एम्प्लॉयमेंट देना है कि हमारे पास टाइम ही नहीं है वो रूमिनेट और जुगाली और like a cow how it regurgitates and chews again and again the same cud. करे जा रही है करे जा रही है करे जा रही है एक ही चीज को, वही तो हम कर रहे हैं. मतलब व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस? तो मुझे लगता है पैरेलली एज यू सेड साइमल्टेनियसली मेनी थिंग्स आर हैपनिंग, and yes, I am still getting swayed, but as mother says, then the crises are of shorter duration. So we also notice that earlier it may take 1 day, 2 day, maybe a month for me to get over it, and now immediately I am able to shirk it off, as you said, kind of done and dusted, move on, like that. So one has to develop a taste for a simple life, a taste for an uncomplicated life, and then it is easier and easier and easier as things proceed. And yet things are complex, so point may come that we are again in the same impasse, that we are stuck again in such a situation where things are too overwhelming, and we are not able to let go, and again that will give us more progress, more growth, because it is always a win-win situation.
Yeah, thank you. And just, even your first comment, what you said, that now that one can see, if we can effort and stop taking it personally, because what I take personally is what sits with me, right? Like if I notice okay, I got swayed, then I sit on it. Why did I get swayed? Oh, Otherwise, it's just, like again honking on the road.
हाँ.
So one can now stop. Yeah,
बिल्कुल
when we see it's collective, it's something just happening.
yeah, it is
Right,
just
again, it
happening.
was so beautifully there in the lines too, right? Like it's just happening. The world is,
Yeah.
yeah, so much movement was there in those lines, and yet he was just
Hmm.
sitting and,
Yes.
yeah, or smashing.
Hmm.
Yeah, thank you.
Hmm. So वही है कि ये जो पर्सनालिटी का थर्ड टेकिंग थिंग्स पर्सनली, ये दिस इज अ बैड टेस्ट, ये हमारा एक गंदा टेस्ट है। हाँ, जैसे तेलीय पदार्थों का हमको टेस्ट लग जाता है ना, तेल वाली चीजें खानी है सारी, चाहे वो बॉडी को कितना ही इफेक्ट कर रही है, तेल वाली, मिर्ची वाली, स्पाइसी स्पाइसी, खट्टी खट्टी, है ना, जो स्ट्रॉन्ग इंटेंस टेस्ट है। तो ये जो टेकिंग थिंग्स पर्सनली है, जस्ट अ मोमेंट, आई हैव टू टेक दिस कॉल फॉर अ सेकेंड। Yeah, hello. Sorry. Some child has been not found, so her mom was calling. So, yes, where was I? Swayed. Yeah, so we were talking that it is, as Taru was sharing, that the moment I begin to not take things personally, the thing is over. And in prayers and meditations, also, we see this, that the problem is taking things personally, and the resolution is impersonality. Just it is a part, jealousy is a part of universal nature. It can happen, so you make the necessary action, do the required step, and then it's over. It doesn't sit with you, and because you have lost the taste of ruminating about you and your story. Yes, Jasmine.
No, I was just smiling because, today I woke up and I had the urge to connect, and then the topic, I just find this a resonance that something has been going on my mind, on my side. And even though I came for 5 minutes, and what Taru shared, it's very similar. So I just find that synchronicity in their events, how I haven't been on the messages, but I just took a screenshot of what you shared, and it really resonated. Um, yeah, I don't have anything to say yet because I don't know what you guys have discussed, but definitely like depersonalizing, I think that's the main key. And it, when you, I think in one of the sessions, how you said कि जिससे तुम ज़्यादा sensitive हो जाते हैं, and as your awareness increases, तो सारी जगह गंदी दिखता है, like इसको भी, ये भी नहीं, like there's so much unconsciousness, prefer to say, not in a judgmental way either, but so much unconsciousness, and you're surrounded by it, and it's kind of overwhelming. So, but I realized that I was getting at the point where, like, really, सारे मेरे साथ आसपास बेवकूफ इकट्ठे हुए हैं, like कि कहाँ फंस गई हूँ? I mean in a lighter way, but where your system feels, yeah, overwhelmed, like you just नहीं चाहिए, ये भी नहीं चाहिए, maybe I should go in isolation, this is too much. But I think eventually what I realized is it's just holding on to your part, that witnessing part, and also realizing that तुम्हारे औकात में तुम कुछ भी नहीं कर रहे हो. Nothing is about you, really. And if you really, in experience, when I started stepping back and I'm noticing, कुछ भी नहीं है, it's just my mind created. And then I was more focused on me being me and understanding that in every moment I had a choice. And I think in the what you shared, there is something about choice. I didn't get to fully, process it. But and it really came to me that I have 100% responsibility of that choice. 100%. It's not even 99, really. It doesn't matter what comes to me. And I've been trying to kind of use that and experiment with that. So it's been interesting. So nothing profound to say, but just a small thing that I realized, कि जैसे Taru said, कि, comments आ रहे हैं, वो आ रहे हैं, but then those things do get to you. And then when they get to you, and I think it's for that I had to give myself time and grace, because a part of me, होता है कि अब पता है तो क्यों फिर भी हो रहा है, almost self-judgment. So I think need to give ourselves that compassion and grace there, because we are human. In that time it will take time, but I think somewhere realizing that it's 100% my responsibility, not in an arrogant way either, but more in an empowering way, saying that you have a choice. Yeah, so it's personally how we take things. इतनी सी चीज है, इतने बड़े play में we think we are doing so much. So
बिल्कुल
yeah,
बिल्कुल.
just happy.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely would like to listen to the session if you have the recording.
Yeah,
please.
we'll share the
Thank you.
recording definitely. वही मतलब एक बार आज खूब कर लिया हो ना, जब कीचड़ में हम खूब अच्छे से लोटपोट हो चुके होते हैं, तो फिर नेक्स्ट टाइम कोई तुम्हें कीचड़ में बुला रहा है तो एक्चुअली तुम बोलोगे भैया माफ करो, नहीं जाना. तो once we have done that enough, लोटपोट इन कीचड़, मैं और मेरा कूड़ा, then we come to actually a point of disgust that we don't want to go there again. That all this, see, उस दिन मैं अपना फोन देख रही थी और मेरे को रियलाइज हुआ कि इस फोन में मैंने अपने किसी फ्रेंड का नाम जिस नाम से शेयर किया है, सेव किया हुआ है, किसी और ने किसी और नाम से सेव किया हुआ है, राइट? इफ आई सेव somebody's name as, say, baby, right? Somebody else may have saved the same person's name as enemy, for example. I'm not very good with words, but there. Or somebody else may have saved that same person's name as a saint, Babaji. So we have to know that all these images and judgments that we carry in our head about our own self and about people around us and situations around us, they are like those names that I have given to my contacts. Each person has saved those contacts with different names. अब तुम क्या बोलोगे, कौन सबसे ज्यादा सही है? कोई भी नहीं, ऑफ कोर्स सभी गलत हैं, because everyone has this curtain in front through which one sees. So the more we realize that all that we are carrying, this unnecessary load of images and perceptions about my own journey, about others people's you know uh, behavior and whatever, they are just those names that I have saved on my phone. I can change that name, है ना. आज मैंने जिसको एनिमी के नाम से सेव किया है, मुझे सडनली आज प्यार आ रहा है उस पर, तो मैं उसको फ्लावर के नाम से सेव कर देती हूँ. परसेप्शन चेंज. So we have to stop giving unnecessary weightage to these opinions, ideas that we have, about our own self also, as you were sharing, that we are too harsh upon ourselves. So they are just images and labels that we give ourselves. They have no importance whatsoever. No, nothing at all. And then one can travel very light. तो ये हमारा क्या काम है? लिविंग लाइट, लिविंग बर्डन फ्री.
That's true. Living light के में कि वो जो quietness है ना, उसमें रहना ही नहीं आता. उसे कुछ और ढूंढता है. चाहे spiritually ढूंढ ले, तो spiritual ढूंढ लेगा. Like something stimulating, like in that quietness and that peace, that simplicity. पहले उस simplicity को chase करते थे, अब वो simplicity आती है तो उस simplicity में रहना नहीं आता. Sort of, yeah, paradoxical. Anyways, yeah.
Very true, very true. In Savitri, again, what you just shared, Sri Aurobindo says it in 2 lines, that first he runs and chases himself, and finding himself, he thinks of that other than he. तो वो जो आपने बोला कि बर्दाश्त नहीं होती वो एम्प्टीनेस, कि रहे तो रहे कैसे, तो एक तरफ से उसको हम चेस कर रहे हैं, उसी के लिए ढूंढ रहे हैं, और वो जब उस पर पहुंचते हैं तो फिर उसको हम लेबल क्या करते हैं, उसको हम सूनापन बोल देते हैं कि है ये सूनापन बर्दाश्त नहीं होता, क्योंकि कुछ टाइम के लिए तो वो सूनापन ही लगता है ना. अगेन दीज वर्ड्स कम इन सावित्री, एन एब्सोल्यूट सुपर नेचुरल डार्कनेस फॉल्स समटाइम्स in life when man draws near towards its soul. So we all have to go through that supernatural darkness and emptiness and सूनापन and emptiness, कुछ भी नाम दे दो उसको, बर्दाश्त नहीं हो रही. So we have to develop that taste. क्योंकि उसके बिना वहां तक पहुंचेंगे कैसे? टनल से नहीं जाएंगे तो लाइट तक कैसे पहुंचेंगे? टनल से तो निकलना पड़ेगा. अगर टनल में हम भीड़ लगा दें और बार बार पुरानी चीजों को बुलाते रहें, man's nature is like dirty cup of water, Sri Aurobindo says. He keeps on taking it out and refills it again and again with the same water. क्योंकि वो बर्दाश्त ही नहीं हो रही एम्प्टीनेस. फिर से वही फ्रेंड्स चाहिए, फिर से वही गप्पे चाहिए, कुछ तो चाहिए, कुछ तो चाहिए ना. तो वो दैट इज व्हाट हैज टू रेस्ट विद इन. ये दिस ऑल दिस एनर्जी दिस वांट्स टू गो आउट एंड जंप एट द वर्ल्ड एंड कैच समथिंग देयर. दिस हैज टू गो विद इन. दिस इज व्हाट वी कॉल टर्निंग विद इन. तपस्या इसको कहते हैं, बिकॉज यहाँ पे तपस हो रहा है. ऑल दैट एनर्जी इज गोइंग विद इन. आप उसको संचय कर रहे हो, उसका एक्यूमुलेशन इन गैदरिंग कर रहे हो. सो कबीर जी टॉक्स अबाउट इट इन वन ऑफ द कपलेट. ही सेज, तन भीतर मन मानिया, बाहर कतहु न जाए, ज्वाला से जल भया, बुझी बलंती लाए. सो ही सेज, अब मेरे तन के भीतर मेरा मन मान गया है. तन भीतर मन मानिया, बाहर कतहु न जाए. तो बार बार उछलता था जो अपीयरेंसेस पे, है ना, मजा आएगा इसमें, चलो ये करते हैं, तो वो अब उसने करना फॉर दैट पर्पस छोड़ दिया है. बाहर कतहु न जाए, ज्वाला से जल भया. ज्वाला इज दिस रेस्टलेस साइकिक प्राणा विच वांट्स टू गो आउट एंड ग्रास्प एट थिंग्स. चाहे अपने आप को राइट प्रूव करना है, चाहे कहीं से अप्रूवल चाहिए, कहीं प्रेस चाहिए, किसी का साथ चाहिए, दिस गोज आउटसाइड. सो ज्वाला से जल भया, दैट हैज गॉटन कूल डाउन, इट हैज टर्न्ड इनटू वाटर. बुझी बलंती लाए. So that has gotten, see, एक बार लकड़ी जल के अगर राख हो जाती है ना, तो राख वापस लकड़ी या जलती हुई लकड़ी नहीं बन सकती. हम उसको पूरा राख बनने नहीं देते, पूरा ऐश में टर्न नहीं होने देते. हम तड़पते रहते हैं कि नहीं, कुछ चाहिए, कुछ चाहिए, कुछ चाहिए. तो पूरा जल के जब हम राख हो जाते हैं, पूरी वो एनर्जी अंदर आ गई सारी की सारी, एंड जस्ट completely ingathered. That is what I was sharing. You have to develop new taste of this ingathered poise. नहीं तो फिर वही होता है हमारा हाल जो कबीर जी दूसरे कपलेट में कहते हैं, लकड़ी जल कोयला बनी, कोयला जल भयो है राख, मैं अभागन यूं जली, ना कोयला बनी ना राख. ये हमारी हालत है ना. मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम वी आर हियर. ना हम कोयला बन पाते हैं, ना हम राख बन पाते हैं. हम अध पके अध जले रहते हैं फॉर अ लॉन्ग पीरियड ऑफ टाइम. So if we have learnt enough, read enough, done enough experiences, then maybe it's time to completely turn to ash. कि वो जो एक साइकिक प्राणा है, या जो एक बाहर उछलती छलांगे मारने वाली एक एनर्जी है जो हम वेस्ट करते हैं, maybe that can now satisfy itself within only. And then of course we do all the works and interact with the world, but not forgetting anything. Yeah. So shall we close here today? दीपा भी बाद में आई है, जब सारी दावत वावत खा ली हमने, खाना खत्म हो गया. आपको तो डेजर्ट भी नहीं मिल रहा दीपा. देखो, जैस्मीन लेट आई थी, लेकिन जैस्मीन को डेजर्ट मिल गया.
I think you need to go to a party or a
I have
shadi.
not
That's what
attended
it
a shadi
appears.
in years.
Yeah, and you're wanting to do it now. So that's the
देखो, मैं
moral.
एक
So
तरफ से
go.
लोगों को कहती हूँ शादी मत करो, और अब आप कह रहे हो कि मैं शादी अटेंड करूँ.
तो आपको दावत इतनी याद क्यों आ रही है?
गुड वन.
पर मुझे लगता है हमेशा with Monica she has either to talk about chart or
समोसा.
food stuff.
देखो, खुद my tummy doesn't allow, so I can only talk about it, right?
I think I'm still not adjusted to certain changes in timing because I go back to the old timings, I think.
Yeah, takes time.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you everyone. Let's take a moment of silence to share again, dedicate the merit, all the merit, all the goodness, individual and collective, sharing it with the limitless sentient beings, near and far. May we all have contentment, fulfillment within, and may we all be able to offer ourselves meaningfully to this world. Thank you.